It's an age-old argument that causes family rifts, petitions to take websites down, and even accusations of backhanders from Disney. That's right, it's Marvel versus DC. Now obviously, I have to be impartial in this argument. But many of you take one side or the other. So what better than a special Movie 101 6 Rules special, pitting one against the other. This is Marvel vs DC. Marvel rule number 1. Add a splash of colour. The Hulk looks like he's the wrong shade of food colouring, and Iron Man's just showing off with his array of colourful armours. But one thing's for sure, Marvel love a good show of colour. They may have forgotten that with the X-Men, shame! But with those Avengers you're guaranteed those snazzy threads. Whether Cap's stars and stripes, Thor's rainbow roads, or Hawkeye's flannel shirts, you're certainly not going to be miserable with this lot. DC rule number 1. Keep it dark. On the flip side, DC are kicking it with a whole new colour palette. Instead, opting for grey and black, mixed with a whole lot of colours, drained of any excitement ever. Even the reds and blues for these guys look ultimately sad. Although, in fairness, who could blame them? This is what happened when they opted for the vibrant approach. Ouch. Marvel rule number 2. Your villain is throwaway. Unless it's Loki. Let's face facts, Marvel have never really been able to hold down a good standard of villains in their rise to power. This guy, these things, even the Dude couldn't strike lucky. Undeveloped, lackluster, and simply not good enough up to this point, unless you're this guy, and that smug look on his face ain't going away anytime soon. DC rule number 2. Your villain is pretty badass. With the exception of this guy, DC certainly know where it's at in terms of brilliant villains. This crazy clown certainly had his fair share of the limelight among many others from the Hall of Fame of crazed psychopaths dwelling in DC's dark and twisted universe. The latest patch may not have lit everyone's fire, but when you've got a badass like this lurking in the wings, then I'd say you've got a golden goose ready to fly. Marvel rule number 3. The post-credit scene and Stan. As if 2 hours wasn't enough to endure when you've consumed too much of that large coke, Marvel have to add in a post-credit sequence, or 2 if you're extra lucky. They're now part and parcel of the MCU, so don't you dare walk out before those very last staff members have crawled off that screen. By that time, you'd have also seen Stan Lee pop up, and he'd have fallen asleep in his seat in the screening of the movie. DC rule number 3. Make the movie long enough not to need a post-credit scene. Who needs a pesky post-credit scene when you can pack everything in a 2.5 hour movie, right? That's DC's general consensus. Sometimes it works like a treat, sometimes it needs that extra 30 minutes to make doubly sure. Either way, there's plenty in there to digest. Although I'm still not sure what Lois Lane was doing in any of Batman vs Superman. Answers on a postcard, please. Marvel rule number 4. More Easter eggs than the Easter Bunny can handle. Being based on comics, Marvel need their audience to experience the odd nerdgasm or 10 during their movies, so give the people what they demand, those tasty Easter eggs. That space dog no one knows the name of, the purple dude only nerds knew of at the time, or even an Easter egg that actually ended up not being an Easter egg at all. DC rule number 4. Characters upon characters upon characters. DC don't need Easter eggs when they can just put a shitload of characters in one movie. Only one villain? Pah! Only one hero? You must be joking. Whether it's for sequel building or just shits and giggles, you can bet DC will never hold back on bringing you the characters. Marvel rule number 5. Keep it happy and funny. Listen here, you mewling Quim. We're going to be whimsical and funny. That's how I imagine a Kevin Feige staff meeting would begin. Or something along those lines anyway. There's no moping around or time to be miserable with Marvel. This is Disney owned, damn it. So we're all smiles and happy endings, you hear me? DC rule number 5. This is real life. Deal with it. Life can often beat you down and deliver you Arnold Schwarzenegger in an icy demeanour, so you got to be realistic, guys. That's why DC always take the grounded approach, because you never know when someone's going to kick you in the balls and it's all seemingly going well. No happy faces around here for very long, I tell you. Marvel rule number 6. The ticking bomb. They got 21 seconds to go. Because if Cap and Iron Man don't save Black Widow, the whole world's going to implode. Lyrical genius aside, Marvel love a good countdown to danger. If your Marvel movie isn't concluding with an "oh my god, the whole world is going to end if the hero doesn't close the portal," then something's definitely wrong. DC rule number 6. The end game's actually interesting. None of this ticking clocks crap, people. DC instead prefer to actually give us some depth in their plotting, most of the time, and present us with villains with true motives and present clever end games. Whether you're the cunning Lex Luthor, psychopathic Joker, or pragmatic Harvey Dent, there's always a big level of interest in what these guys are plotting in the background. Be warned. Thanks as always, guys, for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed. Remember to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be back with another 6 Rules video very soon. So until then, take care.